So I welcome you all back to the 5th Asian Yoga Therapy Conference, which is organized by Vyasa Yoga Singapore and supported by the Asian Yoga Therapy Association. Now, those of you who have just joined for the second session, my name is Ruchika Patni from Singapore, and our next session is on Integral Yoga by Aurobindo. Now, for those of you who have not heard about Integral Yoga, it is a yoga-based philosophy and practice of Sri Aurobindo. Unlike other yoga practices, Integral Yoga does not propose any kind of physical asanas, breathing techniques, or external movements, which we just saw in the previous session. Now, this practice is more focused on it's psychological in nature, with internal reflections, self-analysis, corrections, which are the main tools of development. And to us, this session will be conducted by Mr. Ajay Sharma, who is a very well-known motivational speaker and a yoga expert from India. So I welcome you, sir. Mr. Ajay Sharma is an exponent of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and at a very young age of 21 years, he joined Vivekananda Kanyakumari, having been influenced by the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, and Paramhans Yogananda. He also learned the deeper aspects of yoga from Dr. H.R. Nagendra, fondly known to all of us as Guruji. He is also a Reiki master and teaches yoga therapy and stress management in his unique way. Now, being initiated into Kriya Yoga and Ramakrishna Mission, he's able to add deeper spiritual dimension to his yoga teachings. So it's an honor to have him here today. So without any further delay, let me hand over this to Mr. Ajay Sharma. Welcome, sir. Over to you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Ruchika. A very good morning to you and to all the participants. Hope I am audible. And
yes, Ajayji, we can hear you.
Okay. So our topic today is the Integral Yoga, which was propounded by Sri Aurobindo, a great yogi. So I would like to share the PPT and then we will start the session. So this is the integral of yoga of Sri Aurobindo, and as Ruchika said, that it doesn't prescribe any set format for the practice. Like Sri Aurobindo has not given any clear-cut method for practicing the integral yoga. The reason is he was not interested in winding an individual or limiting an individual to certain set of practices. More he emphasized on the inner growth, and for that the understanding of the instrument means the understanding of the body-mind complex is the primary requisite. Here you can see Sri Aurobindo, he was once a revolutionary and he fought against Britishers and he was jailed also. After that he moved to Pondicherry and now we know him as a great yogi, a rishi of the Vedic age stature. And here is the Ma. She also joined. She is from France, and she also joined Sri Aurobindo as his spiritual collaborator. And this, you can see, this is the Auroville. It is just 9 kilometers from the Pondicherry. It is a city where people from more than 40 nationalities live together and they are practicing integral yoga and trying to raise their consciousness as suggested by Sri Aurobindo. And this is the Samadhi of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, Shrima, in Pondicherry. It is a very vibrant place, and it's a modern age Shakti Peeth. So here we start. We will move to integral yoga, but before that, we should understand what is yoga. Sri Aurobindo says whole life is yoga. There is not a part, there is not a single activity of your life which doesn't fall under the yoga aspects. And we all know yoga means to join to the higher consciousness. And here Sri Aurobindo says yoga is meant for the transformation. Yoga, as two atoms of hydrogen joins one atom of oxygen, and then the result is the transformation in the form of the water. Something new has been created. So similarly, when our consciousness, the individual consciousness, when it joins to the consciousness of divine, a transformation must take place. If we are doing yoga, if we want to join to the higher consciousness, our aim should be the visible transformation. And here, Sri Aurobindo gives us a vision that this reasoning animal, means the human being, is not the last species in the evolution. Sri Aurobindo very uniquely proposes that as we have seen the evolution from plant kingdom to animal kingdom, from animal to human beings, so there is a continuous evolution which the nature, the mother nature, is carrying up. So there is no reason to believe that human form is the last word in this evolutionary process. So what will be the next after the humans? That is, as per Sri Aurobindo, that will be the Superman. Superman doesn't mean that he will be having muscular power, and he has described it in much details. I'm not going into that, but evolution is going on, and the gap between the new species will be almost similar as the gap between the humans and the animals. All will coexist because the new species which will come out of the yoga, when sufficient number of the people have aspired and evolved to that higher level, the nature will provide a new body to accommodate those evolved souls. As when the souls evolved enough in the animal bodies, there was need to give them a better body, so the nature created a body. Similarly, there will come a time when the humans who are struggling to work with this advanced software called mind, when they will be able to handle it properly, when they will be able to master it, then certainly a new machine, a new body will be provided to the souls. So this is something exciting. And let's understand our own machine. We have a physical body, we have energy within, and we have the mind. These three things make the human body complete. There is not a single human being which is not having these three parts. You have a body, physical body, you have prana, the energy which you get through the food, which you get through the sunlight. That energy is required for the working of this machine. And you have a mind part, which thinks. So these three things make the human body. And to understand the point, let us take the computer analogy. As in the computer, we have similar three components. Computer has the hardware. Similarly, humans do have the hardware part, which is called the body. Computers have the software, either as operating system or some other installed programs. So the humans do have the mind as a software. As the computer is not complete, or it cannot be run without the electricity, without the energy, so the human body can also not work without the life force, without the vital energy, without the prana shakti. So these three things make the human machine complete. As you see, the body, because when we are going to work on the yoga, we should first know that to whom the yoga is being taught. And for that, we should know the components of our own existence. Are we taking things in a wrong way, or we are properly understanding? Because proper understanding is a very important step towards the victory, towards the siddhi. So this body, which is made up of cells, muscles, organs, various systems, brain, etc. So this is the hardware part of the human machine. The mind, the software, which we have at present. Sri Aurobindo termed our software, our mind, as the ordinary mind, the mind proper. And what are the qualities of this software, of this mind? It's obscure. It's not very clear. It has multiple thoughts. It's divisive in its approach. It's not holistic. It is fragmentary. It divides. It doesn't unite. This is the working of the ordinary mind. It is in fact a ground of neutrality. Suppose you get some very good inspiration. You get some very good, some higher idea from somewhere. You listen someone, you read some good books, you read shastras. But this ground of neutrality, this mind, this ordinary mind, discolors everything higher which comes into it and gives it its own color to it. The color of division, the color of inequality. And this software, this mind is small in the sense that it cannot bear the longer period, the pain or joy. Everything is short-lived here. So this is the nature of the software on which we are working. This is the part of our machine. And as I said, the energy we get through the food, sunlight, air, from our surroundings too. So that energy, it needs to be regulated. As you all are yoga practitioner, you know how to regulate the energy through the pranayama, through other exercises. So how the transformation will take place? As we have given the example of computer. Computer has three components: hardware, software, and energy part. But the computer cannot be started without the user. To work on the machine, work on the computer, user, the operator is required. Here, this is the very important point. In the human machine, we have the body, we have the energy systems in place, we have the software, but where is the operator to work on this machine, to run this machine effectively? So this is the very important point in the integral yoga or at large in every type of yoga. You are teaching yoga to whom? Are you teaching yoga to the software? Are you teaching yoga to the hardware? Are you teaching yoga to the energy? Or it is being taught to the operator, the soul, the user of the machine? This is very, very important. Because when in normal conditions, what happens? Suppose you have a system, means the computer, and if you are not trained, then you can do some work on the computer. But if you want to master it, then you have to learn some programming languages. Or in whatever field you want to master it, you have to do that certification course. You have to learn it. So who is learning? Is the computer learning, or with the help of the machine, the operator is learning? Who is mastering? Obviously, the operator is learning the programming language. So with the help of the machine, that is the computer, software, hardware part. So when yoga is taught, to whom it is taught? It is taught to the body, or it is taught to the mind, or it is taught to the soul. Because if the programming language is taught to the software itself, it is not possible. It cannot be done properly. In any way, it cannot be done. Similarly, why we see that even after practicing yoga for a very longer period of time, we do not see the required transformation, because the operator is not in the place. Operator is missing. The soul is missing. It is not being taught to the soul. Machines are interacting with the machine, and so transformation doesn't take place. So first, we have to find where is the operator. Is this machine is in our command? Does our mind obey us? Is it listening to my instructions? Or am I in a position to give any instruction to it? Am I in a position to govern the working of my body? Or body is running on its own? Or this mind is running on its own? And I am sitting, the real me, the real operator, the real soul, I'm just sitting helplessly and attaching myself to all the movements of the machine, all the movements of body and mind, and then suffering. This is a very advanced machine given to the operator, to the soul, to master it. This is the purpose of the nature. Nature has evolved this complicated, advanced machine, human body-mind complex, and given it to the soul. So soul can work on it, and in the process, soul will also evolve. And as the soul will evolve, so the software will be evolving simultaneously. So the point is very subtle. We must get it here that are we in the place of commanding our machine? Are thoughts coming on their own will? They are entering in the software, or software is generating the thoughts from within? Am I in a position to channelize my thoughts? Am I in a position to dictate terms to my body, to my mind, or body and mind are dictating me terms? So I have to assert, means the operator has to assert. And before asserting, one should be very clear that this body and mind is not me. It is mine, but it is not me. See what happens. I am again taking the example of the computer because it is simple to understand in today's time. In the computer, whatever information comes in, whether you download it from the website or you insert USB, it is first scanned through the antivirus. So the viruses are not allowed to enter your computer machine, so it may work properly. But what is happening to the human machine? We have 5 senses, means 5 open channels, open ports from where continuous informations are coming. These are eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin, and from there is memory input also based on the accumulated experiences. From these 5 and including the memory input from these 6 paths, we continuously receive the information, and with the information come n number of viruses, and there is no system in place to check those viruses because operator is not trained. The soul is not trained. It is still working hard to handle this machine, or it's simply being carried away by the machine. And what happens as a result? We get these viruses daily into our system. Greed, infatuation, anger, jealousy, pride, desires. These are main viruses, shadripus, we call them. So these viruses on daily basis are entering into the system and corrupting the system. And that is from where the imperfection of the working arises of the operator. So the operator, the soul, which is untrained, which has not learned yoga. I'm not talking about the yoga being taught to the body and mind. I am talking about the yoga which is taught to the soul, because body and mind, when they learn the yoga, they utilize it for their own gains. And when the yoga is learned by the soul, by the operator, then operator, the soul, use that learning to manage the body and mind, to bring it under the control of the divine, to the higher consciousness. So if the soul, if the operator is not trained, if it is imperfect operator, what it does, it allows viruses to enter the system. As it may happen in the computers. If it is not scanned and if the viruses enter into the system, into the computer, what happens? Sometimes system hangs, it shuts down abruptly, corrupts the stored data, many problems occur. Files get opened on their own. So that is how the working of the system is seriously affected. Systems sometimes get damaged. So what happens with the humans? To such human machines where the operator, the soul is not trained, not evolved, not in commanding position, what happens? Here comes the psychosomatic disorders. If we are allowing all the viruses like lust, greed, jealousy, pride, and so on, entering anger, fear, on daily basis, we are allowing them to enter into our system without any check. Result is psychosomatic disorders. And this is a very normal scenario. It is very common to the human machines. Human machines that then develops the disorders which manifest in the form of psychosomatic diseases like diabetes, arthritis, asthma, insomnia, hypertension, and number of diseases. And there are extreme cases also, abnormal cases. The machine gets totally corrupt. And you see the visible madness in the machine. And they are put into the lunatic asylum. Why it is happening? Because the operator is not in a position to handle this advanced machine. This is a very advanced machine provided by the nature in the process of evolution to the soul. As in the animal kingdom, you see a growth of consciousness. And when it has reached to its pinnacle, then the animal body was not sufficient to hold that grown-up soul. So for that soul, which is still the reasoning animal, this advanced machine is given. And so we struggle. So we face stress every day. So we try to manage happiness. We are looking for the moments of happiness. The reason is we are not aware about our own existence as operators. We think this mind is me, this body is me, and this is the greatest ignorance. And as Swami Vivekananda says, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, internal or external. Do it either by work or worship or by psychic control. This soul is potentially divine. It has divinity, but in a potential form. It is having the divinity, but to manifest that divinity, yoga need to be taught to the soul. So it can manifest its divinity and start slowly commanding, first commanding the machine, then transforming the machine. Transformation will come afterwards. First there is scattered mind and number of thoughts coming in a second. So scattered mind need to be focused, purified, and so on. And after that, the transformation may come. So if the operator, if the soul becomes yogi, you may call it yogi operator. So few visible signs will be the positive attitude. That soul will be expressing love and care through its machine, through its body and mind. Concentration and awareness will be higher. Memory will be healthy. When I talk about the healthy memory, it means there will not be any negativity. in the memory itself. Personality will be pleasing, and as we all want that our face should shine, so there will be a shining face. It is assumed. And obviously, this body-mind complex will be disease-free if the operator has learned the yoga. So it is very, very important to understand the working of the ordinary mind from the point of view of the soul, from the operator. So now when I'm talking to you and when you are listening to me, you are listening and at the same time you are analyzing. Be aware that you are not the body and mind. You are the master of this body and mind, maybe untrained master, maybe partially trained, or maybe fully trained, who is in the command of its machine. Make a distance, create a little distance between your machine and yourself. Visualize a situation when someone out of great attachment starts thinking that I am the mobile, I am the computer. Means his mind gets so attached to its machines like maybe car or maybe the computer or maybe the mobile that he forgets his own identity and he starts thinking that he is the car, he is the mobile, he is the computer. So what we will call, how we will understand that person? Definitely we will say he has gone out of mind. The same condition is with almost all of us. Instead of saying this is my mind, this is my body, we say this is me. So this attachment is very intense. So first create a little gap between yourself and your machine. And for that, it is very essential to understand the working of the machine. How this ordinary mind operates. I give the example, practical example, live example. You are listening me and at the same time you are seeing me also. So your sense organ of hearing and listening, both are receiving the input from outside. My image is reaching to your eyes, the external instrument. The sound is reaching to your ears, the external instrument of hearing. Once it reaches to these sense organs, from there it gets converted into the nerve currents. And as a nerve current, these inputs reach to your brain center. Okay, corresponding brain centers. There are brain centers for hearing, for vision, etc. Once it reaches to the brain center, from there mind picks it up. And mind is not into the brain. Mind is non-local. It is all over the body. So it is these inputs. When you are seeing me, when you are hearing me, these inputs, once they are reaching to the brain center, are being immediately picked up by the mind. And when mind is busy in picking up these inputs, there may be many things passing from your side, the voice reaching to your ears, even something some image is reaching to your eyes, but as mind is engaged in hearing and seeing something which is happening right now, is not picking those inputs. So this is the importance of the mind. Mind takes up the inputs. From there, the another faculty of the mind, which we call the intellect, buddhi, what it does, it analyzes the received information on the basis of the accumulated, stored experiences in the form of the memory. On the basis of that memory base, that information is analyzed. And if it matches, then the labeling and reaction is done as good or bad, likes or dislikes, in a generalized term. And once it is done, when intellect categorizes, it is right, it is wrong, it is good, it is bad, then the sense of doership, I have done it, it arises very fast. The ego, the sense of doership, and this whole mixture of reaction, because what you are hearing, what you are seeing is just on the basis of your limited experience base. And then it discolors, it puts its own interpretation to what is being heard or what is being seen or what is being tasted or anything, whatever input you receive. This intellect, this buddhi, puts its own interpretation to that. It may miss the original thing. It may give something new turn to what is being seen or heard. And this whole mixture is then comes before the soul, the operator. And here, the operator, which is, let us assume, is not in the commanding position, then the operator simply sees it, and the whole reaction comes back, and it becomes the resulting behavior. Okay, so first the input goes in, labeling is done, doership, sense of doership arises, soul sees, and everything comes back as a resulting behavior. That is how we interact with the world. And it is so fast. Here we are seeing in the slow motion. We are trying to understand it, but it is happening with such speed that we are not aware. We cannot remain aware. For that, awareness practice is needed. That is the yoga. So that is how this ordinary mind functions. So if we know how our mind is working, if the soul knows, soul must know what has come before it. It may not be the real thing. It has on itself the stamp of the intellect, of the which is coming from the limited experience. That's why sometimes new subjects, new topics are so difficult to understand, because you do not find any match into your memory box. So intellect then it becomes a real task how to analyze it, because there is no matching experience. But that is how the ordinary mind works. So what should be done? How the soul will slowly detach itself from the body-mind complex, and once it detaches itself, the soul, the real you, because this body remains here on the earth only. When the individual dies, this body, this mind, everything is gone. And it is the soul which takes the forward journey. And because soul has participated through body and mind into some work, the resultant of that karma also goes with that soul. So the teaching is being given to the soul. I am interacting with the soul. I am not interacting with the body and mind right now. And you also be very careful that you are listening, means you, the real one, the soul is listening. And process of attachment, once you understand, it involves the understanding of the process of detachment as well. So it has given in the Gita, Dhyayate Vishyan Punsaha Sangasteshu Vijayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Bhavati Smriti Vibhrama Smriti Bhranshad Buddhi Nashat Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. So very beautifully the process how we get attached and where this attachment leads is explained. Dhyayate Vishyan Punsa. First we start thinking of some sense object or anything, whether it is coming from the memory or from the external sense object. And with this continuous thinking of that particular thing, the attachment gets developed. And then the desire comes to achieve that particular thing. I want that. And if in the process of achieving that, if there is an obstacle, and if the obstacle is bigger than me, then the fear will come. And if the obstacle is not bigger than me, then the anger will take place. And once you become angry, it almost hypnotizes you. Sammohan. You forget everything. You forget that to whom you are talking at the moment. You may be very angry, very cruel to your own very near and dear when you are under the spell of that anger, or if you are in the fear, then depression may take place. And once this memory base is affected under the spell of anger or fear, you forget yourself, you forget others also. And Sri Krishna says that Smriti Bhranshad Buddhi Nashad. And it means your intellect has stopped working. And Buddhi Nashad is almost equal to the as if you are not existing. Pranashyati. So detachment means the soul must be able to hold the mind in such a way that it doesn't go on pondering on single subject again and again, because it will create the attachment. I am moving little fast now because time is not that much and it's a huge subject, and you all would like to know that how to download the antivirus then in the human body mind, so it can check all the viruses like Shadrapus and not allow them to enter. Here is what the evolutionary map Sri Aurobindo has given. You can see it. We are at the level of the mind. The evolution has taken place up to the mind. And above the mind, there are other higher planes still to achieve. Higher mind is next to the mind, then is the illumined mind, then the intuitive mind, overmind, supermind, supramental consciousness, and finally the Satchidananda. So what are the tools of transformation in the integral yoga? Let's have a quick look on these tools. Sri Aurobindo proposes 3 tools. He says, if you have understood that you are not in a position to command and control your body-mind complex, first you have to admit it. That mind is not under your control and body is not in your control, and you want to go beyond that. You are not satisfied with the working of the body-mind complex. So there should be the aspiration. There should be an intense aspiration. And that aspiration must have a will of mind, heart's longing, seeking, and one should be ready to open to the higher consciousness. One should aspire. You may say it is quite psychological, yes, but the aspiration is very much required. If you want to evolve, if you want to connect to the higher source, if you want to do the yoga, the union with the divine consciousness, there must be a strong aspiration. Second tool is surrender. Surrender of oneself and every movement to the divine and the Shakti of the divine. Because the Brahman and its Shakti, the nature, the Prakriti, they are the real forces to whom one should surrender. And that surrender should be in the totality. In every moment, one should be aware in everything he is doing, every moment. That's why Sri Aurobindo says the whole life is yoga. When you are talking to someone, when you are doing something, when you are writing, when you are driving, when you are talking, when you are eating, when you are going to sleep, every moment, one should be aware of the presence of the divine everywhere, and one should constantly, continuously do the surrender of one's own, all the moments. And third tool is the rejection. Rejection of minds, habits, ideas, rejection of the lower nature, the shadripus, the lust, the anger, the fear. There should be a strong rejection to all this. And we all know how our physical nature works. It has all the doubts. There is a physical mind which is so stupid that it doesn't see beyond a single step. You all must have experienced it when you lock your car or your house and you move a few steps, and suddenly this physical mind tells you to check it again whether you have done it or not, whether you have locked it or not. It is so rigid, so narrow. It doesn't even rely on the proofs that you have done it already. So rejection should be of all such petty, narrow movements of one's being at all the level, physical, mental, or vital. Then one will start moving towards the higher mind, the higher consciousness. This mind, this ordinary mind, needs to be replaced with the super mind, but they are intermediate stages. One cannot directly jump to the super consciousness, the ultimate state of the samadhi. In between, there are other layers one need to achieve. And in the yoga, if you are growing, the first achievement will be of the higher mind. One will love to be silent at all the levels of the being, whether it is body, it is mind, or it is prana. But there will be struggle to accept the silence. And you will see in the thinkers and philosophers, these things, they are, to an extent, they are holding to the silence, inner silence, but still, this higher mind is, though it is not fully obscure, but it is less opaque. It's not that clear still, but it is a great step taken up in the evolutionary journey of the being. The more and more this operator, the soul, will start taking the command, the more and more the software, the mind, will start evolving, because it will be controlling, and the soul is connected, will be connecting itself directly to the divine by surrendering, by the aspiration, and it will go on continuously rejecting the lower movements of the nature. These things are of the practice, though we are discussing, but all this require a lot of practice. And once it starts happening, this ordinary mind, which is based on the reaction of the intellect, based on the limited memory and experience, will start getting vast and vast. Joy will tend to last longer. Love will be more accommodating, will be less conditional. Though fragmentization will remain, whatever you receive from the above, still it will be interpreted through the mind only, but more and more calmness will start prevailing. You will be able to see little far. It will not be totally obscure. This is the first stage in the evolution. And second stage, if one continues the efforts, if it continues the practice, the second appearance will be the illumined mind. Mind will get illumined. And this is the beginning of new birth. Inner silence will get established through the practice of yoga. And the tools of transformation, as I have already told, are the aspiration, surrender, and rejection. So mind, illumined mind, will see that all the things are interconnected. If this mind is more vibrant, more joyous, one has a lot of inner bliss, creativity, and poetry will flourish. I'm taking it a little fast. And this next is the intuitive mind. It is clearly transparent. Intuition as a flash will come. One will be able to see to longer points. Deeper insights will reveal, visions will come. And the victory is the overmind. Here one will be able to see in the longer time and space. Here our time and space is quite limited. So I'm not going into it. In fact, if you don't mind, I may take 5 minutes for the little practice also, because let us take a little more time to explain. And once the overmind is established, I will share the PPTs. You can give it to the students and participants so they can go in more details. And the final is the transformation is the supramental mind, which as in the Vedas says, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, the vision will encompass all the aspects of the truth. So let's have a few minutes of practice. Still, I have 3-4 minutes. Let me give you some idea how it can be practiced, though Sri Aurobindo has not prescribed any practice, but once you go through his teachings, something becomes clear that if it can be done in this way. So I will request all the participants to kindly sit erect and keep their eyes half closed, not the fully closed. Okay, please sit erect, half closed eyes, eyebrows little raised up. Take your whole attention to your heart and have the strong aspiration to open ever to the higher consciousness, to the higher divine force. Feel strongly into the heart the aspiration of immortality, of the divinity, of the supreme realization. And then focus to the crown chakra, the Sahasrasar, above the head. And visualize the luminous flood of the white light over there. Surrender to that mighty divine and its force. And welcome its flow within your being from crown chakra. This luminous white flood of light, very gentle, is entering slowly into the crown chakra, into your head region, illuminating every brain center from within. Reaching to Agya chakra, third eye, eyebrow center, illuminating all the organs of your head. This divine light is slowly moving downward. Gently reaching to your throat center and moving down to your heart. Whole being is full of light. From heart, it's further moving down to navel region. Keep your attention focused on your crown chakra and coming light. Let it move down to the sacral region, Swadhisthana chakra, and to the Muladhara root chakra. Deep aspiration in the heart and surrender at the top of your crown chakra. Pray for the transformation of your being by the divine. Let the divine transform, fill the whole being with its divine light. Now slowly bring your attention to your heart chakra. Deep aspiration for the transformation. Bring back your attention to the crown chakra. Surrender your whole being, total surrender to the divine above, all encompassing, universal, Satchidanand. Your whole being is full of luminous light. Slowly bring down your attention again to your heart chakra. Fold your hands. Pray internally for the well-being of the whole humanity, for the well-being of the whole nature. Sarve bhavantu sukhim. Rub your both the palms. Gently place them on your face, your eyes. Feel the warmth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajayji, for this wonderful session. It has been a great learning experience for me as well, to get introduced to the integral yoga. And absolutely loved what you said about each soul is potentially divine. Like, we all should know about this. And our whole life is yoga. It's not the 1 hour that we practice on the mat, or, just sitting in meditation for some time, but it's the entire time, and everything that we do is yoga. So thank you for reinforcing the same thing once again. And also, it was very unique session with how you explained in terms of the computers, the hardware, the software, and the operators. It was extremely nice. And I loved your question where you said, are you teaching yoga to the hardware, or are you teaching it to the software or to the operator? And if you're not teaching it to the operator, which is the soul, then the transformation is not going to take place. So extremely nice session. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you very much.